Good evening. What a beautiful night in North Las Vegas. We welcome you to our City Council meeting this evening. There are two public forums set aside for public comment, one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end. If you wish to speak, please complete one of the blue cards which are located on the table outside the main door where you came in, or over here to my left, your right on the podium rail. Hand them to the city clerk. She sits right here in front of me, and then she will pass it on to the Mayor Pro Tem. When I call upon you to speak, I request that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, and we avoid repetition. Madam City Clerk, are we in compliance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law?
Mayor, yes, we are in compliance.
Great. Tonight we have a wonderful opportunity of having the invocation. Father, are you here? Yes, you are. Father Creer from St. Joseph's Catholic Church. Follow that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Isaiah Bullard. He's the son of Dr. Bullard of Ann Road Hospital right here in North Las Vegas. So please rise.
Pause a moment in silence. Our Father, we have gathered together to set a course that will bring our community to ever greater progress, prosperity, and peace. We ask that you guide our minds to find the best answers to our requests and needs, and at the same time, please strengthen our wills to accomplish the responsibilities we hold that should bring our projects to completion. As we entered a season of joy and charity, may we be granted a spirit of giving, shown in respect and a helping hand. Fill our hearts and minds with the inspiration and vision needed to sustain our community on a path that promotes the building of harmonious relations and will provide all a life that is filled with goodness to the edification of those who choose to live here. Therefore, grant us wisdom, grant us knowledge, grant us understanding, grant us counsel, and grant us strength to use these gifts so that, as citizens, we may experience tranquility and earthly blessings. Finally, we also commend to you this day George Bush Sr., who has departed from us. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the pledges to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Isaiah. And Father has offered, Ryan, to some of your directors who need to have communion. Or was it communion or confession? Oh, it was confession. Yeah.
It was confession for council. There. It was communion for us.
Oh. Father, you're always welcome here with us. And Isaiah, great job. Thank you so much. Moving on to presentations. Tonight we have the pleasure of recognizing the business of the month. Each month, one of the city councilmen gets to choose someone in their district that they think exemplifies great business, and they offer a service to the community. They make life better for us, and they search their community and their ward, and they figure out who that business of the month would be. And this month, Councilman Black will be making that award. So, Council, let's go down front.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my distinct honor to recognize a business that has been in really the heart of Ward 3, right on Ann Road near Simmons Street at 3110. This business was established in 2005. They have 55 employees. Six or seven of them are veterinary doctors. I'd like to bring forward Dr. John Bullard, the head doctor at Ann Road Animal Hospital, if we can all give him a round of applause. Coming up here, Dr. Bullard, as he shakes hands, I'd like to say a few things about this amazing business and the reason why I selected them to be the business of the month for the city of North Las Vegas from Ward 3. So this business, like I said, was founded in 2005. If you know, that was right around the time that Aliante opened its doors. They were at the front end making this investment in the North Las Vegas community early on. well before the rooftops of Alianti were in place, and they've grown with our community. They have a number of their staff here today. Dr. Ballard's wife and sons, right? Two sons are here with him. He has a wonderful team. I said 55 people. I think at least 46 of them have helped my little dog. So on a personal note, Dr. Ballard has been little Max Black's doctor for the last 10 years, keeping him going. I'd like to commit things to memory, but there are so many amazing things that they offer. I'm just going to rattle off a handful. Full-service animal hospital offering examinations, consultations, low-cost vaccines, boarding, specialty surgery, of which I've had 3. Not me personally, but Max. Emergency services, in-house laboratory. He has a bilingual staff. They work with the Animal Network, which is one of the largest national rescue networks, and they're the provider here in Southern Nevada that provide the most services to the most Animal Network animals out of any animal clinic in the Las Vegas Valley. When I think of the Ann Road Animal Hospital, I think of a few key words: service, passion, and high-quality care. Dr. Ballard, I'm very thankful for what you've done for my dog, and before I pass the mic to you, I want to say Max couldn't be here today, but he wanted me to congratulate you, and you're his 4th favorite human besides me, my wife, and my daughter. All right. Dr. John Ballard.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We're humbled to be out here. Thank you for having us. You know, we strive to do the best we can. We do high-quality medicine, trying to take care of these little guys. For guys that need a home, trying to find a home for them, and just trying to keep that human-animal bond going, that thing that makes our pets our best friend. You know, we appreciate you recognizing us. You know, sometimes you get caught in that bubble and you forget some of the other things going on, but it's good to be recognized, and we truly appreciate you. You know, we loved Max even before we knew he was a councilman, and so we appreciate you having us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Councilman Black. We appreciate having us.
Lucky Max wasn't running against me, right? And Dr. Ballard and his family, they actually live in North Las Vegas, and they're Ward 3 residents as well. So thank you so much for being part of our community.
That's true. That's I've never heard that before. I seriously have never heard that. Okay. And once again, welcome back, Council. Moving on to Council Items, Councilman Barone.
Yes, Mayor, thank you very much. Actually, it's too bad Dr. Velardo left. I was just going to say one thing. I think the really smart guy, really wise man, Will Rogers once said that the very best doctors are veterinarians. They can't ask their patient what's wrong. They just got to know. So if he's out, doctor, if you're out there still, congratulations. Just 3 things, I guess, on the ticket here. Right across the street, if everyone notices they're coming in, they're in the final stages of putting together the Maya Cinemas. And right now, if everything goes well, they're on tap to have their grand opening on December 20th. So I want to thank, recently, I know several of our departments worked very closely with them, with the builder, with the Maya Cinema staff, and of course, several contractors to keep them online. So I wanted to thank, of course, Dale and Mike Hudgens and your respective departments. And so here's to hope that it actually happens on time. So, folks, if everything goes well, December 20th, they're having the grand opening. Also, I wanted to recognize our very, very good friend, probably one of our biggest North Las Vegas cheerleaders and boosters, Ms. Jeanette Revere, Buscando Estrellas. And today she brought a ballet folklorico, which the name escapes me right this second. But we also had a presentation for a very good friend from the community, Ms. Rosita Castillo. And again, thank you so very much to Jeanette for always being there for us and holding festivities for. I think that's them cheering outside. Finally, actually two more things here. If you also came in right here in the Stone Soup Gallery, I wanted to recognize that we have a presentation, a show by the artist Jack Wilson, and it's curated by Ken Ruffin. It's called Celebration of the Landscape, and it'll be up at Stone Soup through December 27th, and there's going to be a reception December 13th from 4 to 6 p.m. I plan to be there. And finally, I wanted to recognize Captain Williams here, who recently retired from the North Las Vegas Fire Department. It is really good to see you. Yeah. Captain Cedric there.
That's a good report, Councilman Churchio.
Thank you, Mayor. The Mayor and I had an opportunity last week to attend the groundbreaking of the Choral Academy of Science Charter School inside Nellis Air Force Base. The home of the Falcons, as I understand. It will be a K-12 charter school that will prioritize STEM education to ensure that our students will be competitive in the ever-increasing, high-tech society that we're moving into. They should be opening up, I believe, was mentioned sometime in November of 2019. Also, I'd like to personally thank the Texas Roadhouse, which I have to mention is in Ward 2, Mayor Pro Tem Pamela Goins-Brown Ward. And I had the permission from the Mayor Pro Tem to attend the ribbon cutting over there. But more importantly than that, it's an amazing place. But the Texas Roadhouse had selected the Armed Forces and Military Veteran Appreciation nonprofit that I started with Laura Coleman back in 2014 as their family night charity, that evening, that pre-opening evening of Friday. And thanks to their generosity and the generosity of all of those who attended that evening, we were able to collect in excess of $3,000. And that money will be providing Christmas to our military families in need this year around, in partnership as we did last year with VARP, the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. We had our police out there. We had our fire out there as well. And also that money will go towards any needs of our military families and veterans during the year coming up. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Barone, why don't you pick that last item up? Let's do it right now.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate it. No, I was so caught up in the moment here. I forgot to mention that the mayor and the council, they were on hand for a really momentous thing. The groundbreaking at J.D. Smith Middle School. That represents a great collaborative effort between our friends at the Clark County School District and, of course, here at City North Vegas to provide a brand new amenity for the children of Ward 1 and, for everybody around here. Again, thanks, boss, for being there as well. And we really look forward. Already the first walls are up. They're well on their way. I guess a completion date by, I think, April of 2020, or I could be wrong. It might be sooner than that. But maybe the boss will know. Thank you again, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
As the saying goes, when things are happening, they're happening in Ward 2. Councilman Churchill, I just thought I'd let you know that. And as he mentioned, we went to the grand opening of the Texas Roadhouse, and I'd just like to chime in that I would just recommend everything on the menu, especially the fried pickles. So they were, and it's a great atmosphere, great family centered restaurant. The waitresses and other servers, they do a little line dance every half an hour. It's pretty amazing to see, and we had a great time. And I think we ordered enough baskets of yeast rolls to take us through the new year. Also, Cafe Rio is coming to North Las Vegas, and their grand opening will be on December 12th, and so we look forward and welcome them as well. A while back, I mentioned the Tuskegee Airmen, and a gentleman I met that is the CEO at Southwest Airlines, and he wanted to adopt a pilot program in one of our North Las Vegas schools. And they have been going into our Joe Mackey Academy Leadership Magnet School almost weekly, meeting with the fifth graders for about an hour, just teaching them things about aviation, and hopefully they can maintain an interest to hopefully become a pilot or something in the aviation industry. So I'd like to just extend a thank you to the Adopt a Pilot program. Also on December 1st, it was World AIDS Day, and I just was asked by members of my sorority, which Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which happens to be the best sorority in town, just to bring awareness to World AIDS Day, just to recognize those who have lost family members to HIV or AIDS, and just bring awareness of it and how to protect yourselves. And last but not least, last year, year before, with Brandon Marshall Forrest? In 2015, linebacker for the Denver Broncos donated a sizable amount to our libraries, and I was contacted by him again a couple of weeks ago, and he has a movement that's called the FEEL movement, and it just stands for Feed and Educate to Empower Leaders. What this movement is about him giving back to the community, and since he's a Las Vegas or Nevada resident or native, he wanted to give back to the city of North Las Vegas. We were going to try to get it done by the end of December, but we're going to push it back to January 11th. We have chosen 20 families in North Las Vegas that will receive a field box. And inside the field box, there will be a tablet, headphones to go with the tablet. There will be a 30-day food voucher for the family, and just other personal hygiene needs that will be included in these boxes. And so he's going to come here and present those at our Alexander Library on January 11th.
Great report, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Black?
Thank you, Mayor Lee. I'd like to just give a brief report on a few events that I had the privilege of participating in over the last few weeks. The first one took place on Tuesday, November 20th. I had the privilege of teaming up with 2 shuttle bus loads of seniors from the Silver Mesa Rec Center. They let me drive one of the shuttle buses, which was super fun. We made it both ways. We went to the Republic Services Recycling Center. I want to thank our utility director, Randy Duvall, for joining us. We gained a tremendous education on how to become better at recycling, the impacts or lower impacts we can have on the environment, the landfill, and we also saw their incredible process that they have for handling the single-stream recyclables that we put into it from our city. The second event was this past Saturday, December 1st. We held a bicycle race at Craig Ranch Park. It was the Nevada Cyclocross State Championship. That's a really unique style of bicycle racing. They have obstacles. They get off the bike. They get on the bike. Lots of winds and turns. It was a great success, and they hopefully will come back again next year. And then the last event was on that same day later in the afternoon at the Silver Mesa Rec Center. I had the privilege of teaming up with City of North Las Vegas and Opportunity Village's very own Talitha Johnson, Miss Nevada Sophisticate. We were partners on an event that she called Miracle on Allen Lane, where we hosted a Christmas or holiday dinner for homeless families that live in transitional housing at New Crossing by St. Jude's. We had about 70 individuals there. It was really a festive and fun event, and we got to know some awesome people. And lastly, I had the privilege today, I was invited by Judge Kalani, who our North Las Vegas District Court, or one of our North Las Vegas District Court judges, to attend the community court graduation ceremony. That's a diversion court that he runs. There were 2 young men that literally changed the trajectory of their lives today by graduating from from the program there, the community court, and it was really a phenomenal experience. So if you don't know about North Las Vegas Community Court, it's something that I would encourage you to learn about. Thank you.
Thank you. Great reports, Council. Moving on to public forum. This is time set aside for public comment on posted agenda items. The public forum excludes discussion public hearing items which will be heard later and separately. So if you want to speak on any items listed under consent agenda, business is ordinances final action, now is that time. Madam City Clerk, do we have any blue cards on posted agenda items?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Anybody willing to come forward? Seeing none, we will close the public forum. and move on to the agenda.
Item 1, approve City Council regular meeting agenda of December 5th, 2018 for possible action.
Mayor and Council, staff is recommending two changes to the agenda. First, staff asks that item 61 be heard after item 46 and before item 47. Second, in the back material for item 33, the appropriate breakout of the acronym CMAQ should be corrected to be congestion mitigation air quality.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's your report. Any comments or questions? If not, the chair will take a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be approved by a single motion. However, any consent item may be moved to the business portion of the agenda for discussion at the request of any council member.
Mayor and Council, due to the fact that we had Thanksgiving, didn't have a council meeting, we have a rather large consent agenda this evening. It consists of items 2 through 44. It is staff's recommendation to approve the consent agenda as published.
Thank you. Councilor, any comments or questions? If not, the chair will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved. Moving on to set future public hearing dates.
Matters listed under set future public hearing dates will not be heard by the City Council at this meeting. If you wish to speak on these items, please attend the meeting where the public hearing will be heard and submit a blue card to the clerk. Item 45, set date on any appeals filed or required public hearings from the City Planning Commission meetings.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. I so direct you to set any public hearing dates as necessary.
Thank you, Mayor. So noted.
Moving on to business.
Item 46, presentation by Dr. Jesus Jara, School Superintendent, regarding an update on the 90-day entry plan, listening tour highlights, and legislative session remarks for the Clark County School District.
Welcome, Mr. Superintendent Jara.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, staff. It's an honor to be here. I was here, I believe, in my first month. I know we had a brief presentation, but I just want to thank you and thank this entire community for the warm welcome. As the superintendent, I've been here about 5 months, and we've done some good work, and I'm looking forward to where we're headed. But let me give you a little bit of some of the things that I want to continue and stress and focus, which is something that I've been working with staff, is really to stay focused on our core business. And our core business in Clark County Schools is really student success. When you look at the diagram that you see there is you wrap around our principals and staff and teachers, and you look at our governance and coherence governance structure that is critical for the success of our students. What that means is really myself and my trustees, the 7 trustees, working in sync as one, a team of 8, working to make sure that we align all the adults really heading in the right direction. Underneath that is really sound fiscal management for the organization. We need to be fiscal. We need to be good stewards of the taxpayer money as we really stay focused on student success. And then the entire community. What I tell you, in this community with 320,000 students that I have the honor to serve as the superintendent and 42,000 employees, you do the math, there's more of them, meaning students, than us. So this is why I'm here and this entire community to rally around our children, because there are, as I say, our core business is student success, and really stay focused on what we're doing. A little bit about our kids. We have students that come to us from 158 different countries, speaking 78 different languages, and 68%, latest number, 68% of our children that we serve are on free and reduced lunch. And I say that because I think it's critical to understand where and the population that we are honored to serve. And we also serve 15,000 of our children are experiencing some sort of homelessness. But I also will tell you that we have some of our homeless students who are gifted. And we have some of our students in the most affluent communities that have, and the children are experiencing some sort of educational challenges. So, this is why I say it's a beautiful tapestry of America here in Clark County and in the school system. So we have some work to do. Well, one of the things that we have look at our data. Even though we've made some great gains in our academic outcomes as of the last few years, we have plenty of room for improvement. And I'm committed to make sure that we continue on that trajectory and actually accelerate the success. Because when you look at our numbers, we have certain populations that we are not providing a high quality, rigorous education. And that is something that I say is all 320,000 students in all our 360 schools deserve a high quality education every single day for 180 days a year with a high quality teacher. So again, when you really look at the accountability and as I say to members of the public, is critical for you and this board to hold me accountable. I look at I was looking at where we are and some of the things that we continue to say, and this, this is for me, our families have a choice, which is great. I'm not challenging, and I think it's a great choice because we have choices for our kids. And I think every family has the choice to educate their children. What I say is that I want to make sure that we are the choice, that CCSD becomes the number one choice. And some of the things that we need to do is a little bit different to make sure that we respond to the needs of our community. When I look at and you look at back when we were all growing up, we only had two choices of milk, right? We had whole milk and skim milk. But now you go to the grocery store, you have whole, 1%, 2%, almond, you have coconut milk, you have pecan milk, you have soy milk. And to me, the organizations and the businesses changed. And I think in public education, we need to do that to make sure that we become the choice for our kids. But again, what I say is then hold us accountable to the same standards. Hold all schools accountable, all schools that receive taxpayer dollars to the same standards. And I believe in all the schools that I visited and in Clark County, we can become the number one choice. So I'll give you a little bit of some of what, a recap, 125 community meetings. I visited over 150 schools in my last 5.5 months, and you can see from elected officials, parents, community members, students. I've had roundtable discussions with children, high school students, with employees. And I continued to hear some of the different challenges that we are facing. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about sometimes the brutal truth is good to hear, but it's tough to hear on what we're doing. But as I also like to tell you that in the last 5 months, and it was really important for me and for this board, my school board, to really settle all our employee contracts. It was very important for us as we're going into the legislative session to find the resources that were there. And for the first time in decades, we have settled all our employee bargaining contracts multi-years. So we know now, as we're going into Carson City in the legislative session, we're going into all together as one. Not the best financial package for employees, but is for us it was the only way, and it was the only thing that we had available. Obviously for our teachers, principals, our support professionals, our police officers, and our police officer administrators, we settled all contracts. The other thing that, when you really look at spending time with principals and teachers, when you start looking at some of the evaluative tools, we also approved and changed the evaluation tool of our teachers, and we received a waiver. And I'll say it was not in an effort to minimize or lower the rigor. It was really an effort for us because I heard from teachers, I get this 3-hour conference and I have to put all these papers together, and principals spending 6 hours to really comply for the state requirements. And what we did is that we created an easier tool to really get to the same thing. how do we give principals an opportunity to spend time with the teachers doing the real work, which is coaching and supporting to improve instruction. Imagine that, spending time and doing the work that we needed to do. So a little bit of what I learned. And again, as Councilman Barron mentioned, we had the groundbreaking at J.D. Smith, which is really important. And I say that around equity. I believe that as I talk to you about equity and access, equity meaning every single student deserves a high-quality education every single day in a building that can compete with all. And I think J.D. Smith and others are critical for us. And so when I talk about this, this is not just to have high rigorous instruction in some of our schools. This is to have it in all our schools for all our children. So it's really important. As a matter of fact, this morning we presented to the board on some of our AP, our CTE, and our dual enrollment, our college readiness, especially our workforce. So we have some huge gaps. We were honest with the board. We have some huge gaps in certain populations and certain demographics don't have access. So we have to change that. And for me, the transparency is critical. We need to improve the teaching and learning working conditions for our teachers and for our employees. That means that, class size is an issue. That means instructional materials is important. I've learned from some of our principals that we have not purchased textbooks in the last 10, some schools 15 years. So to me, that is something that how do we hold our students to a level where we provide high quality instruction when teachers are buying materials from the website. So that's something that we need to address as a community and as a superintendent. This last one, the public trust. There's something that I, as superintendent, is very important for me, because if the public has no trust in our public school system, that is an issue and a challenge. So we need to build the trust of this community to support our schools. Again, another presentation this morning on our safety and security. I appreciate Governor Sandoval in his budget that he has released has moved some of the tax from the marijuana tax into safety and security. So these are some of the things that we're very excited. Now I'm advocating and making sure that the money that's appropriated that gets into Clark County. So I'm having conversations with my colleagues across the rural community to make sure that we get the fair share, since we have some of our challenges that that are a little bit different than other parts of the entire state. Central office, and I'll tell you, this is something that since my arrival has been very important for me. I brought in my deputy and my chief of staff strategically, not only for me, some folks that came in with me, but it was important to also look at some of where are we duplicating services, where are we duplicating roles and responsibilities across the administration. So since I arrived, we saved a total of $3.5 million in really just freezing positions, not hiring and eliminating positions. And the last reorg that I'll talk to you a little bit about that I just released as of Tuesday of last week was really to look at how we are organized as an organization to meet the needs of our schools. And it was something that I heard from principals, that there was lack of consistent message, lack of consistent expectations with schools. So when you break down into 3 regions and put school associate superintendents, I'm going from about 15 region school associates to a total of 9 to really provide a consistent message to the schools. And I think this is going to be a better, I would say, communication and really working together with our municipalities to address some of the issues that we are facing at this time. Now, the other thing that is also very important to note on this is that when you look at the support for schools, from what I was hearing from principals, is to provide that consistent message, and I think this will go a long way for us moving forward. I have been working with the members of the legislature and the state superintendent, because this has some implications with AB 469, but I think it'll get us in the right direction to really improve the quality of instruction in our schools. When you look at where we're headed, I have big goals. And again, in this community, everybody that I have had the pleasure to meet and sit and talk with, and the 4,600 individuals that I've had conversations with, I believe that in 5 years that we will be a school system that will not have any 1- or 2-star schools. I also believe that we will significantly increase the opportunities for children in college and career readiness. That starts not in the high school, that starts in elementary schools. If we get our children reading by 3rd grade, that means pre-K, that means kindergarten, we can eliminate a lot of the challenges that we're facing, bringing high school courses to our middle schools for all kids, not just some kids. What I'm talking about is opening access and opportunities. So I look at some of the numbers that we have a lot of work to do, but in this community, I believe that we will be able to do this. As we look in our priorities in the legislative session, when you talk about the investment in staff, the investment in schools, investment in our children, that's one of the things that is #1 priority. The other thing is an incentive on Title I schools. This is something that has been in the legislative platform in the past, but it's not just an investment to recruit. It's to recruit and retain teachers in our Title I schools. Where the highest need, teachers need to be incentivized to get there. And I think this is one of our platforms that I believe we need to invest to, because we have to find ways to bring in teachers and stay there as well. When you look at the professional development for our administrators, is also a priority for us. I talked to you about the instructional materials. It's not about textbooks, it's about support for teachers. So we need an investment in the legislative session. And again, I talked a little bit about the safe learning environment. One of the things that when we look at the base funding formula that we currently have, the DSA is really inadequate. I believe it was enacted back when President Johnson, Lyndon Johnson, was president of the United States, when I think in 1967 Clark County and North Las Vegas was a little bit different than it is today. And I think that needs to be updated. And when you really look at the formula, and this is, I like to use, I'm a baseball fan, and I think when you look at the analogy here, is that some students cost a little bit more money for us to educate, and that's okay. I think we need to be honest and say, hey, it costs us a little bit. If you're an English language learner, if you have some exceptionalities, you cost a little bit more money, special ed. So we need to make sure that we change that base funding formula to address some of the needs of some of our students. And I think it's critical. And the baseball analogy that I have here, all of us, are responsible to make sure that our children get to home plate in 1 year. Some kids come to us in third base. Some kids come to us, they're in first base when they get to us. And 180 days all to home plate. Some kids come to us and they're in the dugout. And you know what? That's okay, but they cost us a little bit more money. And I think we need to be honest, and then we need to be able to fund our school system in the way it should be. Augenblick released a report to the state last week, and we are there's only 2 states in the union that still use this outdated. It's Nevada and Nebraska. It's time that needs to change so then we get the appropriate education here in our school system. Again, Mayor, Council, thank you for having me. What I like to say is that in January we'll be releasing our state of the school address, where we will be releasing some further plans. One of the things that I'm working right now with my team is really start developing what you call a business plan for the next 5 years, that we will be setting our goals and our targets, and then we're going to be tying our budget, because everything we do in Clark County, our budget needs to be tied to our performance and our goals. Thank you, Mayor.
Excuse me, we might have a couple of questions. We have 2 educators on our council that are very intelligent and know education far better than a few of us other members here. Would you like to ask any questions, Ms. Buens-Brown?
My first question is how going from the performance zones to the 3 regions in North Las Vegas will be split between 2 regions. Will they share the same area school associate superintendent? And if so, great. If not, how's that going to align and keep them all on with the same vision?
So, and that's a great question. Here's where when we broke up and looked at the region, the 3 regions, it was looking at some of the best practices that are across the country. I looked at Miami-Dade, which was very similar to us in size there, because we couldn't compare to New York and Chicago. When we looked at the region, to me is, first of all are going to be aligned to the strategic goal, because the board has set strategic student achievement goals and operational goals for me as a superintendent, how they're going to hold me accountable. So everybody in the organization, all the way down to the school principals, are going to be held to the same goals. So to me, the effort on the regions was really, because what I was hearing when we had 15 school associate superintendents, we had 15 different messages. So now we're going to have the same message delivered by 3 people. The challenge for me when we were breaking up the regions, it was to really try to get a breakdown that it was very similar across all 3 regions, and we've done that. Unfortunately, the breakdown had to be, where the lines came in across North Las Vegas, because it was to break down the free and reduced lunch, because I didn't want to have one region that was going to be the haves and have-nots. So it was equally spread across all 3, with FRL, with African American, with Latino, with white, Asian. So that's where we had to break the line. So unfortunately, right now for us is that you will have 2 region superintendents, not multiple school associates underneath. But I think what it will do is that it builds on the consistent message and expectations down to the school level. And of course, I'm always going to be your superintendent. You can always call me at any time.
Okay. And secondly, with the Title I funding, it seems like your 1 and 2 star schools receive the most title funds. I don't know if that's actually, accurate, or it's just perception. And like your 3, 4, and 5 star schools, they're still titles, but you use those funds to have supports. But then when you're a 4 or 5 star school, it seems like you receive less title funds, but you still need those same supports, because that's what helped you get there. And then you're there, and so how do you sustain that if you're taking away all the supports?
So I think we got a couple, I like to say the color of money, right? We have Title I, we have SB 178, we have all these different extra money that has come from the legislature. I think what I'm hearing, if it's a 178, which is what happened to, and I like to point out to Rancho High School, that when they improved from a 3-star to a 4-star, they lost the SB 178 funds, not the title. So that's for success, you succeeded, which is a little bit of what helped you get there. Then the way the formula works right now with SB 178, you lost some of the money, and I think Rancho lost up close to $1 million. So one of the things that we're excited to see, that at least Governor Sandoval put in his budget to really put out the SB 178 across all schools. So hopefully that gets in there and it stays in there to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, Title I, the way that is allocated right now, meaning the school year from previous budget, it was allocated in Tier 1 to 3, depending on the percentage of students with free and reduced lunch. That doesn't go away, because that's money that comes from the federal government.
Because I'm just speaking on what happened at my particular building.
That may be 170. It may be SB 178.
I have to check on that. I think okay. I'll check.
Because that's the issue that we're and we agree with you. You shouldn't be penalized for succeeding.
Right.
I agree with you. It's SB 178, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Councilman Barone.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think the Mayor Pro Tem, that's why she's an assistant principal, because she definitely has all the right ideas. I was going to echoing pretty much what you were saying, and of course I was nodding my head here when we were talking about teachers, buying materials. I was lucky enough to be able to purchase, some materials that I needed for my psychology class this year, and it wasn't that cheap. Much to your point, in real world, $1 million is $1 million, but in real world, this year my principal didn't have the money to match the communities and schools, which is such a fantastic tool. Of course, Rancho High School, which literally is on the corridor of hope. I think we're one of the schools that has the highest enrollment of homeless children. And for us, because we didn't have the matching funds, communities and schools went away from Rancho High School, and and that literally means it's devastating, to us. So I appreciate anything that we can do, to work with our new legislature. And the other thing, which brings us to this, I know our city manager and the mayor have also talked to, I think, with you directly. I think there are many areas of nexus where the needs of the city, the needs of our residents, they're the needs for you. We share the same, customer base. And I think there's many areas in which we could sit down and actually work together. We kind of did that at the beginning of the school year. We did something that we'd never done before. We sat down with the principals of Ward 1 and Ward 2, with our staff and our police. Thank you very much for our police and our traffic staff that came in to work out things before the school year got started. And what I'd like to see is we could usher in a whole new level of cooperation between our city and the school district. And I think, with all respect to our friends over a little bit south of us, I think the best area to do this is in North Las Vegas, because although we are small, we're nimble and we're very easy to work with, and we'd love to do everything we can to support your mission, because it's our mission too.
Mayor, if I may, I think it's our mission, it's not mine. I'm just a quarterback, so this is that. I'm glad you said that. One of the things that I failed to mention, and I like to. We're currently doing I've commissioned a real close study on our CTE, our workforce, our magnets, and I know that there's opportunities, because I know I have some of your principals that want to pursue that, and I'm looking forward to what we are going to get in a report, because I have some priorities. Again, it goes back to equity and access. We need to be a little bit more nimble as a district and respond to the needs of the community. So it's something that we will be, I will be receiving and then sharing with our board, but looking at where there's lack of opportunity in certain communities, and something that we certainly want to improve here, and especially in North Las Vegas.
Thank you very much, boss. I really do appreciate it. And of course, I'm very happy to say there's, Southwest Tech and East Tech, South Tech. Man, it'd be great to have North Tech. I'm just saying. Boss, thank you very much.
Councilman Churchill.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Now, I'm not an educator myself, but I have gone to school, and I have children, and I have neighbors who have children. And I do have the privilege every once in a while of participating in the payback program. And I could see, and I don't have to participate in the payback program to know that, I could see just how hard these teachers work in those schools and how committed they are to exactly what you're saying. So, you have our support over here. You have my support. And I don't think that there's anything more important to what we're doing over here at the council than to see that our next generation has the tools and the experience and the knowledge to move forward. So for me personally, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Councilman Black?
I just had one comment. When you explained the rationale behind building of the three regions, keeping them balanced and equitable, that made perfect sense. However, I would request that since we're the only municipality that is split, that we would keep a close eye on that, just to make sure that there aren't any communication disconnects or anything of that nature that would be negatively impacting the North Las Vegas schools. So the rationale is sound, but the implementation, I just want to make sure that is sound as well.
It is, and I appreciate that. And certainly something I'm going to look at. And actually, I've advertised all those positions. So they're currently out, and I want to make sure that we're looking for somebody that can not only be able to communicate with our municipalities, but also to be quite candid, is really to drive the instruction and coaching and supporting of our school system. So, certainly keep that close to my heart as well.
Just another second. Your legislative year is upon you. Is there things that the legislature you're going to be working for that will benefit North Las Vegas, or we could maybe find out later, but we also want to support our school district at the legislature through our city manager. Do you have any legislative request or insight for us?
Right now, from a legislative request is really, to me, the core is what we we need to do is, and we'll get more into details on the strategy and certainly work with the city manager, but really is the weighted funding formula and really changing the formula that needs to be updated. Because I think that is the core. What's happened in the last 10 years, or the last 8 years, we have changed, added categoricals and different things, and those things have been great, but it really has not addressed the core issue, which is really changing the weighted funding formula for our school system.
Mayor Lee, I had one more question, if I may. Dr. Jara, as we talk about collaborative nature and relationship building, and with the municipalities and the school district, which I think is phenomenal and the right way to go, I would ask, when we talk about school safety, we talk about the issue of crossing guards and the costs associated with that falls squarely upon the municipality. And I would like to have a dialogue collectively as we go forward, just to look at maybe shared cost or different ways of approaching that, so it's fair and equitable, and ultimately the children are kept as safe as they possibly can with those resources.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
A thank you to the trustees. Would you please go to them and let them know we've had a great year. We've done 2 or 3 transactions with them. We've had an exciting year with your trustees. Very active board of trustees, and it's been a very good year for us. And I think the last thing is to let you know that in your audience we have a gentleman named Mr. Goins who has a school named after him. And I just wanted him, Ms. Pam Goins Brown, your father, and Mom. So right in the front row, you have a principal and a school named after those wonderful people. So anyway, Superintendent Hara, thank you so much for your time. I know you are available for any of our questions. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
This was just a presentation, so we won't have a vote on this.
Ready for 61?
Mm-hmm.
61, presentation Chief Caleb Cage, Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, and Deputy Chief John Steinbeck, Clark County Fire Department, Office of Emergency Management, regarding an update on the statewide resilience strategy.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Is this on? Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Caleb Cage, Chief of the Nevada Division of Emergency Management.
John Steinbeck, Deputy Chief, Clark County Fire, and also the Emergency Manager for all of Clark County.
Thank you for the opportunity to present here this evening and talk about statewide emergency management and our transition to the resilience strategy and how that will impact relationships throughout the state. Next slide, please. We're going to breeze through these first couple of slides to honor your time and make sure there's plenty of time for questions at the end. And so this is what we plan to cover. I'm going to cover kind of the higher level or the state level, and Chief Steinbeck, our partner here with the county, will talk about county level implementation. I would like to start by saying it is a great pleasure to work with Chief Calhoun and Salome Barton, the emergency manager here, and we've got great relationships here with the city. Really appreciate the activity and participation from our partners here, particularly with the county and in events related to the county.
I echo those about City of North Las Vegas. Been very helpful.
Next slide. So we're going to go over a little bit about the background of the transformation that we're moving towards here as far as a focus on resilience and the progress to date, as well as get into some of the details regarding what this implementation looks like and how it changes some of the structures here in the state as well. Next slide, please. So as we're all aware, the year 2017, calendar year 2017, represented an unprecedented year for emergencies and disasters in the state of Nevada, throughout the state, in southern Nevada as well as in northern and rural Nevada. There was the floods in northern Nevada that resulted in a presidential major disaster declaration in January, more floods in February in northern Nevada that resulted in a second presidential major disaster declaration. And this was the first time in the state's history. In 56 years, we've had 23 presidential major disaster declarations, which is the highest level through FEMA. We've never had 2 in a row We've never had 2 in consecutive years, and in 2017 we started the year with 2 presidential major disaster declarations in consecutive months. So it started out being an unprecedented year, and of course continued through in October of 2017, of course, the tragedy that occurred then that affected the whole community here and the whole state as well. We presented lessons learned at the request of Governor Sandoval and the Homeland Security Commission. That's the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security at the December meeting, and provided initial recommendations for what we thought we needed to do and how we needed to transition based on our lessons learned from that event or that year in 2017. It resulted in a directive from the Homeland Security Commission to transition to a resilience focus instead of just a risk-based focus, an executive order that outlined benchmarks and an implementation plan to include the development of a statewide strategy that we'll talk about here in a minute, as well as initial legislative recommendations and budget proposals. That plan was approved by the Homeland Security Commission in August of 2018, and Chief Steinbeck and I have been co-chairing the Resilience Commission that was established based on that approval since then, and continuing that effort going forward. Chief?
Yeah, so as Chief Cage spoke, we were trying to make some changes, or we started some changes before these unprecedented disasters of 2017. Of course, for us locally, 1 October was a watershed moment for us. We we did many years of preparation for an incident like 1 October. Of course, the response was 9 hours, the actual response to it, and then the recovery is going to be for years and years to come. We had issues that had occurred despite our preparation, that the only way to overcome those issues, and I'll certainly talk more in depth with them on those if you have any questions, but the only way to overcome them was to change the way that we are doing things throughout the entire state. Everything from how we can get additional resources from grants that the state can then go ahead and push more funds down to the local levels, to legislative changes, to being able to have standardized training throughout the state at the EOC level. And I could go on and on about that, but for us, 1 October was really added the fuel to the fire for us to go ahead and make these changes. And what I feel like what we've put together here and what we've been able to present throughout the nation will become a national model for a resilience strategy moving forward. Chief?
Thank you. So we'll skip this next slide, which really gets into the mechanics of how we got here, and if you don't mind, we'll go to the next, which is really the overview of what this looks like. So what Chief Steinbeck was talking about is we had recognized even leading it throughout 2017 and before that we had a number of grant fund resources managed by the state, provided by the federal government, managed by the state, that went through different processes at the state level. We had a number of different preparedness efforts in the state, and they existed within silos throughout the state and impact local government's ability to access grants, predict budgets, to be the best prepared that they could be. What we found was we had great partnerships throughout the state. We had great interest from our partners to make some changes on this, and we had the ability, based on the lessons learned from 2017, to really drive some of these changes. So instead of having a number of systems that dealt with grants or preparedness efforts or response efforts or recovery efforts, we wanted to create one system, and if you'll pardon the phrase, one system of systems, so that everything that we were doing was reinforcing, get back to what the superintendent was saying a moment ago about everybody driving towards that same vision. It's what we want to do in emergency management and homeland security. And so this strategy has 4 components here. Chief Steinbeck as the urban area chair for the Homeland Security Grants Program, and myself as the state administrative agent for Homeland Security and Emergency Management Grants, co-chair the Resilience Commission. It's made up of about 38 members, including ourselves. We meet monthly. We discuss policy. We make grant recommendations. And the whole idea, as Chief Steinbeck was talking about earlier, was to identify those goals, that strategic level vision for what we're trying to do, and use minimal or use the resources that we have, whether they're general fund revenue from the state, grants, or any other type of revenue that we have, in the most effective way possible in order to achieve that vision. And so we've been doing this for a couple of months now, and we have our next meeting coming up next week, and we've gotten great input from our partnerships throughout the state. The three additional components of this amount to making sure that we're collaborating on recovery with our local partners and our tribal partners, so that we all have one vision for what recovery after a disaster looks like. The same with preparedness and response, and that top component there, and then an ongoing annual assessment that says, this is what we wanted to do, this is what we did, this is how we can do better in the future going forward. Chief.
Yeah, so the problems that we're trying to solve, it's a lot more than just grants, it's a lot more than just funding, and the strategic model that we put together allows us, as Chief was saying, the Resiliency Commission, to really get together and to get common picture of all of the actions throughout the entire state. So what this area is doing well then can be transferred over through a single commission. We've had the opportunity to reduce many subcommittees and other boards throughout the state. We started with 35, and I believe we've reduced or absorbed up to 19 of those at this time and brought them together in one collaborative effort. The more that we can do that, and we can reduce that continuous duplications of effort, and also get the best practices throughout the state, and then fund those best practices either in a pilot program or at a strategic level statewide, then that's going to help us out tremendously. Also, just operating in the way that we train. 1 October, your people from emergency management came into REOC because we have a standardized, valley-wide standardized operating procedure for emergency management. So they were able to come in and relieve some of my staff when we needed multi-operational periods. Well, that's our vision for the entire state, so that we can be much more resilient, because so many of our resources are limited, specifically at the time of disaster, and that's when we need to be at our best, when the public needs us the most.
Thank you, Chief. So we'll conclude here with a couple of slides about where we are in the implementation process. And what I'd like to really focus on here is how this impacts and the importance of our partnership with municipalities, with counties, and tribal governments in the state at the state level. We really see ourselves as setting this strategic framework for the state, but we really need partnerships throughout the state, and we really need the capacity that Chief Steinbeck was just talking about to be coordinated at the county level with the cities and tribes that may want to participate at the county government level or go direct to the federal government. So the first period we're well into right now, the first 3 months, and it really is getting this off the ground. So the ideas are there. We're building that collaboration. The City of North Las Vegas has had input and participation in this as other entities have throughout the state. We're trying to get buy-in. We're trying to get input on how we can improve and really build momentum for what we have going forward. We've changed some of our grant procedures to provide more input from our partners throughout the state. In fact, next week we'll be having a meeting, and previously this week Chief Steinbeck had a meeting where we used deobligated grant funds to fund additional projects with input from local partners and other partners throughout the state, which is a big step forward. It's transparency, it's predictability, and it's allowing people the opportunity to access those funds for their needs. Next slide, please. Next phase, of course, is going to be focused around the legislative session, as you all are well aware, and really getting some of these changes that we've pursued through this, the lessons learned from 2017, codified in law so that we can really start building the momentum going forward, and it really is codifying that model that we were talking about earlier. Pursuing budgetary changes as well. You heard Chief Steinbeck talking about freeing up some of the grant dollars so we can pass through additional grant dollars for local and tribal partners throughout the state. That's a huge goal of ours. My agency is 90% grant funded right now, which means that's money that we can't pass through to our partners throughout the state. We need to fix that And that's one of the goals that we're pursuing in this next session as well, which will have a direct fiscal impact on our partners throughout the state. Next slide, please. And then our long term is following the session, just making sure that we are implementing everything that passes and everything we've learned from this year and starting the process over for 2021. I would like to conclude my remarks here just by saying that we've had a great and long-standing relationship with the city of North Las Vegas. You've created a great capability and capacity here to coordinate, to work with the county, to work with the state, and we look forward to that continuing going forward. Chief.
Yeah, I'll add to that North Las Vegas Fire, Police, all emergency management works very well with the county as a county emergency manager, and I know that Chief certainly the same way as the Chief of Emergency Management for a state, but as a county emergency manager, I can tell you that the city of North Las Vegas is as much a part of underneath the county's umbrella as unincorporated county in every single way. So if an emergency occurs here, we're as reactive as it is in unincorporated Clark County, and we get that back from our partners here in North Las Vegas. So we're very appreciative of that because we need it. So thank you very much, and we certainly.
I'm looking at your next page, legislative budget recommendations. We trust you, but maybe we have some questions here. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Council?
I just, on the initial implementation phase page, what is that very bottom acronym? Is SCEMP? What does that stand for?
Thank you, Caleb Gage, for the record. That is the State Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan.
Okay.
Lots of acronyms in there. I apologize.
Thank you.
Caleb, just curious, when I was in the state senate for years, we always seemed to have fires, at least 1 million acres of trees and everything were just burning up. We haven't seen those fires this year. Is that correct?
This year, the wildfires in northern Nevada have burned tremendous acreage in rural parts of the state. I believe near Elko County and Lander County, there was a fire that was 500,000 acres. We've reached 1 million acres this year in wildfire.
We did?
Burns, yes, sir.
Is the Nevada Fire Safety Council still available for us in southern Nevada to the residents can learn about ladder fuels and all that kind of stuff? Is it still an organization that exists?
It's Caleb Cage for the record. So I know that there's been some transition on the fire safe communities, and they do exist, and I'd be happy to follow up with you. They're in a new organizational model under the Nevada Division of Forestry. But, Mayor, I'd be happy to work with staff.
That's fine. John lives down here. John, do we have any things that our residents might be able to utilize that you guys put out that could be a benefit to anything, or is it just standby for emergencies, and our chief is ready to go?
So anything that we can put out as far as preparedness or
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So our preparedness and our outreach is what our offices really try to concentrate on. We had over 184,000 what we call impressions last year as far as trying to get out to our citizens throughout all of Clark County. Some of that is in the form of PSAs, but a lot of it is just in going to different events or different forms of outreach, and then we go ahead and we capture those. And certainly fire prevention is a big part of that. Also, all of our websites and all of our basic type of information that our printed materials, and we take calls all the time on how to go ahead and answer those questions. And if you have anything specific that you want addressed, certainly Salome would be a great resource, and then she's going to call me right away, and we're going to go ahead and get that out to you guys.
Okay, great. Thank you. Counselor, any comments or questions at this time for this presentation? Well, why don't you guys know you did a good job. Would you like to finish up, or is that the end of your presentation? That concludes. Caleb, I know you come from north to come down to see us. Is that not correct?
That's right, sir.
Yeah, thank you for coming all the way down. But basically, it's a success that's happening in the state, and we're proud to participate. We know our chief and Chief Lytle have been very involved over the years. We thank you for including them in your education and your teamwork. So
Absolutely.
It's good to see you again, John.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. The presentation will have no action on that item. Moving on to public hearings.
Mayor and Council ask the presenters for items heard on a public hearing that have associated items or items under ordinances final action state for the record during their presentation if they're both for the public hearing items and the associated ordinance. Associated items under ordinance final action will be heard and voted on by Council later on in the evening. Item 47, approve AMP 1018 Benyon 150 for applicant PN 2 Inc. to request an amendment to the comprehensive plan to change the land use from community commercial to single-family medium located at the southeast corner of Losey Road and Centennial Parkway, APN 124-25-101-001.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the council. Good evening. My name is Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here on item 47 and the associated items 52, 55, and 63. And I'm here representing the applicant Pulte Homes and the property owner, the Binion family. I can go through a full presentation, but I think on this one I'll see if there's any questions, and I can answer questions, and if need be, go through a presentation.
That would be great. Councilman Churchill, what's in your area? Do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Mayor. No, Bob and I had a meeting just yesterday, covered kind of all of my concerns and questions, and as we get to another one, then I could, go ahead and ask a couple of questions on that particular item. But right now, I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you do that to form of a motion then?
Happy to do that if nobody else wants to speak on anything. So with that, I'll be happy to make a motion.
Councilor, any comments or questions? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. Go ahead and vote. Items approved.
Thank you.
Item 48, approve AMP 1118 Benyon 150 for applicant PN2 Inc. to request an amendment to the comprehensive plan to change the land use from mixed-use commercial to single-family medium located at the northwest corner of Losey Road and Centennial Parkway. APNs 124-23-701-003 and 004 and 124-23-801-002.
Anybody from the public like to come forward on this item? Seeing none. Councilor, any comments or questions on this item? If not, the chair will take a motion.
All right, Mayor, once again, I'm happy to make a motion to approve this item.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 49, approve AMP 1218 Benyon 150 for applicant PN2 Inc. to request an amendment to the comprehensive plan to change the land use from mixed-use commercial to single-family medium located at the northwest corner of Losey Road and Deer Springs Way, APNs 124-23-501-002, 124-23-601-001 through 016.
Thank you, Councilman Churchill.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Gronauer, on this particular item over here, there was a staff position to deny, yet a planning commission to approve. We discussed this a little bit at briefing yesterday, and you and I discussed this as well. Could you give me some idea of your thought process when it comes to the residential in that area versus mixed-use residential and commercial?
Yes, if I can get your attention to the overhead. With respect to this item, there are actually several compelling reasons here to approve the application to residential. And what we're talking about is what we call this is the 50 acres of property, so I get you oriented, which is south of 215. This is Losey, Deer Springs. Down here is Centennial Parkway, Centennial. And what we have already, you just approved the 20-acre site, which is traditional homes. Pulte Homes is coming in for an active adult community, and they want to come up here and also do either an active adult or traditional, some kind of a mix for now up in this area. The reason for this is I'm not going to try to spend too much time on this, but as you know, the Binion family has owned this since the early 2000s. They've accumulated over 160 acres of property. The plan here was to have a mixed-use development, high-intensity type of development. We had end users. We've worked through 3 administrations here in North Las Vegas, and the Binion family, Jack, has always said that was supposed to be the legacy parcel for the family. What has happened is, since then, the recession has hit. You now go and shop online now. As you know, malls are becoming obsolete, which renders this piece of property not in the best way to develop for a mall, as it would have been about 12, 13 years ago. They've marketed this. This is actually master plan mixed use. There's 8 taverns that is actually approved on this portion of the property. We have about 100,000 condo units that have been approved. The 300-room, 10-story high hotel, and over about 1.1 million square feet of commercial space. Could not get any bites over 12 years. As a matter of fact, probably the best use outside of the single family is some type of industrial. We've had industrial users come in and want us to sell the 100-something acres for industrial uses. We've had car facilities come in and look at it. And we've also worked with the city over the years. Grand Canyon University looked at potentially coming on this property itself several years ago. That being said, this is what the family would like to do, is dispose of the property, understanding that the dream of what the legacy parcel would be is not going to come to fruition. That being said, and the reason is, outside of the changes in the economy, you have a ton of commercial in this area. Actually, just north of the 215, you have 65 acres of future commercial for Tule Springs, and this is just recently, the mayor knows, the representatives and owners of Tule Springs came in. The mayor said, you want to make sure you want to keep that 60-something acres that's up there. Over here in this area, you have off of North 5th Street are the 2 large shopping centers. As a matter of fact, they're there. One of these shopping centers is my client. And ironically, going through this process, they called me because they have concerns where they don't have enough rooftops to help support the commercial in this area, and their concerns with Target and Home Depot and others, there are other tenants that are in there. With that being said, you have other commercial uses in this area that is vacant. One of the things, and I'll try to wrap up here to answer the question, is the Binion family and the Pulte home builders has come in with hiring a commercial real estate company, doing an analysis in this area. What is interesting is since 2008, Deer Springs Crossings over at North 5th, currently there's 148,693 square feet of vacant commercial space. And there's total pads ready to develop is 30,570. So I'm not going to go through all the shopping centers here, but I think the point is going to be made here as I point this out, is right now in this general, it says 2-mile radius, there's 154,662 square feet of existing space ready to be occupied for commercial. As a matter of fact, as you see over in this column here, there's 410,000 square feet of pads ready to be developed. And if you take the footnote down here, which is very important, I think is the most compelling thing to put the explanation point on this, is if you're using a 5-to-1 guideline for land to retail, this would equate to approximately 64 acres of retail that is immediately available for occupancy and or build out. The majority of the space has been available for the last 10 years or more. So we've had professionals do this. I didn't do this. But these are the things that we did to ensure whether or not you can do commercial on our property. Mm-hmm. If you do not approve these projects, what happens is you let this property sit vacant, and then you continue to starve the other commercial centers that are in the area. And then the other thing I want to point out, in Tule Springs off of Revere, I call it the former Mayor Montan and Zeter parcels, they have approximately 60, 70 acres of commercial property that is planned also in the general vicinity itself. And that's not even including the stuff that I've already went through. So with that and the other 60-something acres in Tule Springs, you have more than enough commercial property in this area. So, and I said at the Planning Commission meeting, the Binion family has marketed this as a mixed-use development for 12, 13 years, I think since 2005. And it has not been successful. And if anything, your active adult that's coming in with Pulte, you don't have active adult in North Las Vegas. All the other jurisdictions are selling to those demographics, but not North Las Vegas. So Pulte wants to get in here and build and hopefully be very successful.
Yeah. Well, from our perspective over here as a council, and also from my perspective as a consumer, I don't live very far from the Home Depot on North 5th. And I shop over there quite often because it's easy getting in and easy getting out. So, that's, from my perspective, that's a good thing. But from a business perspective, I could understand it's not a good thing. So I appreciate you kind of explaining that to me.
Thank you. This is a time for a public hearing. Anybody like to come up and discuss this item with the council? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or questions? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Mayor, I'll be happy to. I don't know how you want me to verbalize this or make overturn the. No? Okay.
Just approve. Yeah, you got it. You have a motion. Please cast your vote.
No, I'll make the motion here. I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve this item.
Item's approved.
Thank you.
Item 50, approve AMP 1318 Losi and Rome for applicant Century Communities to request an amendment to the comprehensive plan to change the land use from single-family low to single-family medium located northeast corner of Losi Road and Rome Boulevard, APN 124-301-007.
Thank you. Mr. Gronauer again.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the council. Again, Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here on items number 50 and associate items 59 and 66. I'm here representing Century Communities in this matter. We'd ask you to follow the Planning Commission's recommendations.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions from the council? I'll open it up for a public hearing. Anybody from the public would like to discuss this issue? Seeing none, we'll close public hearing. And Chair will ask for a motion.
Hey, Mayor, once again, I'll be happy to make a motion to approve.
You have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Thank you.
Item 51, approve DA 0318, the Villages at Tule Spring for applicant KBS SR Park Highlands, LLC, to request modifying the land use plan to create additional open space adjacent to the Tule Springs National Monument north of Clark County, 215 and west of North 5th Street, and moving the regional detention basin north of Clark County, 215 east of North 5th Street.
Thank you. Ms. Allen.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Stephanie Allen, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant and the master developer for the Villages at Tule Springs. We very much appreciate staff and the Planning Commission's recommendation of approval on this. I'm happy to answer any questions, but this is an amendment to the plan based on some technical drainage issues and additional land that's going to be given to the city. So it's all positive things. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Council. Any questions of Ms. Allen at this time? Seeing none, we'll open this up for public comment. Anybody from the public would like to discuss this item with the council? Seeing no one come forth, we'll close public hearing. The chair will take a motion.
Okay. Thank you again, Mayor. I'll be happy to make a motion to approve, and I appreciate all of the time that Stephanie spends with myself over a period of months over here explaining these items to me and to council, my colleagues over here. Really excited about this project moving forward. Not moving forward as fast as I would like, but it's moving forward. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Thank you very much. I failed to say there's an associated item 67 on that. I apologize. That's associated. Thank you.
Item 52, approve VAC 1118 Benya 150 for applicant PN2 Inc. to vacate a commercial driveway on Centennial Parkway approximately 300 feet east of Losi Road and a commercial driveway on Losi Road approximately 360 feet south of Centennial Parkway, APM 124-25-101-001.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer.
Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing the property owner and applicant. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Council. Any questions on this vacations? Seeing none, I'll open up public comment. Anybody from the public like to address this item with the council? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Council, the chair will take a motion.
Mayor, once again, I'll be happy to make a motion to approve this item.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Thank you.
Item 53, approve VAC 1218 Valley Vista Parcel 4.1 for applicant Greystone Homes of Nevada, Robert Flaxa, to vacate a 35-foot wide utility easement that generally runs west from Aliante Parkway to Farm Road on property located at the southwest corner of Aliante Parkway and Farm Road, APN 124-18-610-004.
Ms. Allen.
Good evening again, Mayor, members of council. Stephanie Allen, 1980 Festival Drive, here on behalf of the applicant Lennar Homes. This is a straightforward vacation application that was associated with a tentative map that we worked very closely with the adjacent neighbors on, and we appreciate both staff and Planning Commission's recommendation of approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Councilor, any comments or questions to this item? If not, the chair will take a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve item number 53.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Thank you very much.
Item 54, approve waive 0318 North 5th Phase 2 for applicant Sergio Arcieri, Nevada Hand, Inc., to request a waiver in an R4 high-density residential district to allow a parking reduction to 203 spaces where 265 spaces are required on property located approximately 265 feet west of northwest corner of North 5th Street and Rome Boulevard, APM 124-22-701-014.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. Bob Feibelman with Nevada Hand, 295 East Warm Springs Road. We agree with staff's recommendations and ask for your approval, but I would like to thank the Public Works Department and Planning and the City Manager for the help on this project, and Councilman Churchill.
Thank you. Councilman, any questions? I'll open public hearings. Anybody come forth on this item, number 54? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Councilman Churchill.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I'll be happy once again to approve item number 54.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Thank you.
Item 55, approve ZN 3118 Benjamin 50 for applicant PN2 Inc. to request a property reclassification from PUD Plan Unit Development District to RCL Single Family Compact Lot Residential District, located at the southeast corner of Lucy Road and Centennial Parkway, APM 124-25-101-001.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer.
Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing property owner and applicant. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Council, any questions, Mr. Gronauer, on this item? Seeing none, we'll open public hearing. Anybody from the public would like to discuss this with the council? Seeing none, we'll close public hearing, and the chair will take a motion.
Mayor, once again, I'll make a motion to approve item 55.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote.
I need my keep here tonight.
Item 56, approve ZN 3218 Benny 150 for applicant PN2 Inc. to request a property reclassification from PUD Planned Unit Development District to an RCL Single Family Compact Lot Residential District located at the southwest corner of Lucy Road and Centennial Parkway, APNs 124-23-701-003 and 004 and 124-23-801-002.
Thank you. I think we've had the presentation on this already. Yeah. Council, any questions? If not, we'll take a motion.
Motion to approve item number 56, Mayor. Thank you.
Items approved.
Item 57, approve ZN 3318 Benny 150 for applicant PN2 Inc. to request a property reclassification from PUD Plan Unit Development District to RCL Single Family Compact Lot Residential District, located at the northwest corner of Lucy Road and Deer Springs Way, APNs 124-23-501-002 and 124-23-601-001 through 016.
Thank you. We've had the presentation on this. Councilor, any comments or questions?
No, Mayor.
Open up public hearing. No one coming forth. We'll close public hearing. Councilman Churchill.
Thank you, Mayor. Make a motion to approve item number 57, please.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 58, approve ZN 3418 Crown 40 for applicant Crown Enterprises Inc. to request a property reclassification from OL Open Land District to M2 General Industrial District, located at the southwest corner of Tropic Parkway and Mount Hood Street, APNs 123-27-301-004 through 009.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Tom Miller, 5740 South Arville, on behalf of the applicant.
Appreciate your vote in favor.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions on this at this time? I'll open this up for public hearing. Anybody would like to speak on item number 58, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. The chair will take a motion.
Yeah, Mayor. Normally I say if it's happening in Las Vegas, it's happening in Ward 1, but I think up until now, if it's happening in Las Vegas, it's definitely a Ward 4 thing. Although I will say that when I got elected, that used to be Ward 1. I very much welcome the applicant opening up open land into something that's going to be industrial. And of course, I'm hoping that you have a person in mind or an entity in mind to be coming in very soon. And with that, I will very cheerfully make a motion to approve this.
Thank you. Chair has a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved. Mr. Miller, it's been a long night. That was an easy thing for us. Thank you.
Item 59, approve ZN 3518, Losi and Rome, for applicant Century Communities to request a property reclassification from our E-Ranch Estates District to PUD Plan Unit Development District, consisting of 63 single-family lots located at the northeast corner of Losi Road and Rome Boulevard, APM 124-24-301-007.
Thank you. We have a presentation. I don't think we do on this one.
No.
We'll open it up for public comment.
Yeah.
Anybody in the public like to discuss this item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. The chair will take a motion.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Once again, it must be Ward 4 night, but my colleague over here, we share as long as it's all happening in North Las Vegas. That's all that counts. I'll be happy to make a motion to approve item number 59.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 60, approve ZOA 0418, City of North Las Vegas, for applicant City of North Las Vegas to request an amendment to Title 17, Zoning Ordinance, adding a new sign criteria for city communication signs and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you. Anybody from the public would like to talk about our new sign criteria, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Council, any comments or questions? If not, the chair will take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 60.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved. Moving on to business.
Continued. Item 62, approve staff's recommended changes to the North Las Vegas City Charter for the city's proposed bill for the 2019 Nevada legislative session.
Thank you. I see somebody from our intelligent attorney organization here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Rian Jarvis Denman, and I'm a Deputy City Attorney in the Civil Division of the City Attorney's Office. This evening, I'm going to go over a few of the changes that were made in the North Las Vegas City Charter and what we're going to be proposing at the 2019 Nevada legislative session. On October 17th, Council passed and adopted Resolution Number 2617, which authorized the submission of the city's bill draft request to the Legislative Council Bureau. The bill draft request proposed revisions to portions of the city charter, which City Manager Juden went through briefly at that October meeting. So tonight I'm just going to elaborate on a few of those changes, the more substantive changes, so that you all are aware of what we've proposed. So most of the amendments are minor edits. We went through the charter and looked at some of the language. A lot of it was a little bit confusing. There were certain words missing, so we went through and made minor edits. That's the majority of the changes. A lot of the other substantive changes we made to improve efficiency and streamline city processes. We also made some changes to modernize the language of the charter. Some of it was a little bit antiquated and didn't really align with what the city is doing currently, so we modernized some of that language. And we looked at other charters from surrounding jurisdictions to make sure that our charter was in line with surrounding jurisdictions and made changes that those jurisdictions have made recently to improve business and efficiency in the city. So the first highlight I'd like to bring up is from section 2.050 regarding special meetings. Currently, the only contracts that can be heard at special meetings are contracts for emergency purchases. So this kind of puts a restriction and causes delays in other business that could be conducted at special meetings. We looked at other charters and surrounding jurisdictions, and Henderson City Charter had some language that we liked. This language we ended up adding in as one of the proposed changes, and it would allow council to consider all contracts during special meetings to increase speed of business and efficiency in the city. And the only requirement would be that the special meeting is noticed pursuant to open meeting law requirements. So it would just have to be noticed pursuant to the NRS. And again, this language mirrors the Henderson City Charter. The next section change that I want to highlight is section 2.100. This is the enactment procedures for ordinances. The current way that this section was written is kind of confusing, and there have been several different interpretations of that language. There was kind of a run-on sentence. It was hard to identify exactly what was going on there, so we wanted to clarify the process for enacting ordinances. Essentially that at the first meeting, ordinances should be introduced. At the second meeting, the council has the option to propose amendments and vote on those amendments, adopt the ordinance with the amendments and vote upon it, or postpone, the ordinance, action on the ordinance to another meeting. So we wanted to clarify that when an action is postponed, it doesn't have to then be reintroduced. That ordinance can just be voted upon at the postponed meeting. Finally, the next section I wanted to highlight was section 4.050. This is a new section that we added in. We looked at City of Las Vegas' city charter, and they had a section for hearing commissioners. And we discussed this with the municipal court and felt that this would really help improve the efficiency at the municipal court. This would allow City Council to appoint hearing commissioners to hear low-level misdemeanor crimes such as traffic violations. So those cases could be heard by the hearing commissioner, and then the judge over there could focus on the more serious misdemeanor crimes such as DUI and domestic violence, and hopefully that would create more efficiency in the court and get those matters heard more quickly. And again, that mirrors the language of the City of Las Vegas City Charter. Those are the highlights that I had for you, so are there any questions?
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments on this legislative action? You know, there was a bill in just some information today about the Register of Voters trying to change into the municipal elections and that stuff. Ryan, it might pass. I don't know. This is also legislative. We just want to make sure if it goes that the city councils will be put high enough above in the vote order that you're not underneath everybody else. So the reason I mention that, Ms. Rihanna, is that are you the author of this bill? Is this you take credit for all this information?
This was a collaborative effort by the city attorney's office, city manager, and we worked with the city clerk also in making these changes to the charter.
Were you the lead on this?
I was kind of the lead in putting everything together.
That's what I want to hear. Maybe next legislative session you can go up, Ryan, she can come up with you maybe and present this at the legislature, if that would be okay with the city attorney, and get these approved for us. And maybe there'll be some other things that we have to discuss up there too. So.
Yes, Mayor, I want to thank Deputy City Attorney Jarvis Denham. She really was the lead on this. She's worked on it, and we definitely plan on initiating her into Carson City. I hear it's really cold there already. They've got a lot of snow, so she's going to be able to see trees and snow. But we do intend on having her up there and moving it through. We're probably going to work to have this originate in the Senate. Conversation with Chairman Parks
on government affairs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that, Ron, is that we're going to get real busy up there, and the other two here are going to have to be in other council meetings and stuff like that. And somebody's got to be watching this bill.
Yes.
So that's why I want to make sure that we have the author here a little bit. So with that, is there any comments or questions from the City Council on this action? We have none. That was our presentation. The chair will take a motion to approve staff recommendation for changes to the North Las Vegas Charter.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Thank you.
That's good for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in Carson City. Get these things done for us, okay?
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. Moving on to ordinances, final action.
Ordinances listed under final action were introduced at a previous council meeting for action at this meeting, but may include emergency ordinances. Item 63, pass and adopt ordinance number 2932, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 17.94 plus or minus acres therein from a PUD, Plan Unit Development District, to an RCL, Single Family Compact Lot Residential District, ZN 3118, Benya 150, for a property located at the southeast corner of Losey Road and Centennial Parkway, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Mayor, once again, I'll be happy to make a motion to approve item number 63.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 64, pass and adopt ordinance number 2933, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 76.29 plus or minus acres therein from a PUD, Plan Unit Development District, to an RCL, Single Family Compact Lot Residential District, ZN 3218, Benya 150, for property located at the northwest corner of Losey Road and Centennial Parkway, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions to this item? Not the chair will take a motion.
Motion to approve item number 64, Mayor, please.
You have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 65, pass and adopt ordinance number 2934, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of the title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 59.33 plus or minus acres therein from a PUD, Plan Unit Development District, to an RCL, Single Family Compact Lot Residential District, ZN 3318, Benya 150, for property located at the northwest corner of Losey Road and Deer Springs Way, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions to this item? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Motion once again to approve item number 65.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 66, pass and adopt ordinance number 2935, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 8.64 acres therein from an RE Ranch Estates District to a PUD, Plan Unit Development District, consisting of 63 single-family lots, ZN 3518, Losey and Rome, for property located at the northeast corner of Losey Road and Rome Boulevard, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions to this item? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Motion to approve item 66, please.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 67, pass and adopt ordinance number 2936, amending ordinance numbers 2267, 2711, 2746, 2757, and 2891, amending the development agreement, DA 0318, for the villages of Tule Springs between the City of North Las Vegas and KBSSR Park Highlands LLC, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions to this item? Not the chair will take a motion.
Mayor, motion to approve item 67, please.
Please cast your vote. We have a motion. Item's been approved.
Item 68, pass and adopt ordinance number 2938, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 33.32 plus or minus acres therein from an OL, open land district, to an M2, general industrial district, ZN 3418, ground 40, for property generally located at the southwest corner of Tropical Parkway and Mount Hood Street, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you, Council. Any comments, questions, items? The chair will take a motion. Councilman Barone.
Yes, I'd like to move to approve.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 69, pass and adopt ordinance number 2939, amending Title 17 of the Municipal Code relating to zoning, ZOA 0418, by amending Title 17, zoning ordinance, adding a new sign criteria for city communication signs, and providing further matters properly related thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions on this item? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Move to approve item number 69.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Item's approved. Thank you, Director Jordan. That's a good piece of legislation. A lot of hard work went into that.
Item 70, pass and adopt ordinance number 2940, amending Title V of the Municipal Code, Business Licenses and Regulations, by repealing and replacing Chapter 5.29, Marijuana Establishments, to provide business license regulations for marijuana's establishment and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions on this item? Not the chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 71, pass and adopt ordinance number 2941, amending Title 10 of the Municipal Code to establish fines for certain parking violations and amend certain provisions of Title 10 relating to parking and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments or questions on this item? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Mayor, I'd just like to have a quick thing. I really appreciate staff's putting this ordinance together. I mean, it's been some time in coming. I know we have the right person who's going to be charged of that department and the right leadership above that person to make this a success. And I think this is going to be something that will truly add to the quality of life for our residents. And it'll do everything from improving home values to helping to fight crime. And I very enthusiastically, unless one of my colleagues has anything else to say, I very enthusiastically would like to motion to approve.
Mayor and Council, we just wanted to do, there's just we're going to make it a brief presentation.
I jumped the gun there.
Apologize for that. We're going to make it just a brief presentation on this. One of the things that we knew in implementing this program as we kind of started down this road is the importance of making sure we informed the community at every step along the way so that they understood what was going to be expected of them. They understood so they could both comply as well as help others comply. So in that effort to continue to inform the public, we just got a brief presentation just to discuss a couple items.
And forgive me for jumping the gun there on that one. I'm just so excited about this, right? Again, if I had a tail, it would be wagging.
Well, Director Gavin, I know you're bringing a whole new department into the city. Would you like to start off here?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. I have with me Sarah Vin Calvo. He is our Parking Services Manager and a rock star. And so I'm just going to give a little overview about some updates of what we're doing, and then he's going to go into the quick presentation about the amendment to the ordinance. So Parking Services is a new division to the city. We are going to have customer services located on the lobby, first floor. And the office will enact in operation form, technical words there, January 7th. So the team that we've been working to put together will be on board January 7th, and they will spend 8 weeks in the field and training. And Seraphin can go into a little bit more detail if you have some questions about that. We have approval of J-Link access, which has really been an instrumental process in all of this. And I want to give Seraphin kudos. When you're starting a new business or a new division or anything new, especially ground up, that it takes a lot of detail and courage and commitment to those convictions. And he's really done a tremendous job in following through on all of that and making sure that the details are coming together in a fluid motion. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Seraphin.
Thank you, Gina. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I know everybody that I speak to, they ask the same question: when are you going to get started? When are you going to be out there? And I'm really happy to say that we're very close to launching the first week of January. So I'll go really quick through this presentation and then answer any questions that anybody might have. So we had, August 1st, we had Ordinance 2903 that initiated the parking ordinances and specified violations and fines. There were some things that we needed to amend to this ordinance, and we have before you Ordinance 2941. Some of the language needed to be addressed, and we wanted to make sure that the violations and the violation structure were consistent with neighboring jurisdictions. That would be City of Las Vegas, who borders us on the south and on the west. The other thing that we needed to do was make sure that we had cover as many loopholes as we possibly could. Item number 2, many of you are familiar with vehicles displayed for sale. We see a lot of that everywhere, and initially it only covered vehicles displayed for sale on public right-of-way. And what happens with that is we take them off the street and they go onto vacant lots and commercial lots. So we added the language to cover private property. Also, we wanted to be in compliance with ADA federal laws. There is an ordinance that a lot of people aren't familiar with, which is specifically for vehicles with side-loading wheelchair access only. This means that even if you have a handicap placard, if there is a space that you pull up to that has specific designation for vehicles with wheelchair side-loading access, you still can't park there. So we added that. And then also the automobile immobilization, otherwise known as the boot. There is a fee for removing that boot, and we had to add that. The other thing was one of the things that we definitely want to be able to add, not just for our residents here in North Las Vegas, but in general, there's circumstances that a lot of times we take for granted that, you know, we're blessed to have certain things and others might not. When you're in violation and you're cited, the officers have no idea who's driving the vehicle. They're citing a vehicle, not a person. And we have established a hearings process by which, if you wish to contest the fine or the citation, you can. During the hearings process, we have the ability to reduce fine amounts for those that are having financial hardship. One of those things is offering a 30% reduction if they are within that poverty rate. And there's ways that we can verify that. The hearings officer has a little bit of flexibility based on the direction that we give them as far as how we can help residents that have financial hardships, like monthly payment plans and certain circumstances like medical emergencies that cause you to pull over and park somewhere where you're not supposed to. Those are things that the hearings officer will be able to dismiss or reduce. One of the things that's very important to what we're doing is the educational component. So we really don't want to be that enforcement agency that, I caught you doing something you're not supposed to, and issue them the ticket and run. Parking wars that you see on TV, that's not the way we're doing business. We really want to be able to educate our residents. We want people to know what will get them a citation. We want them to know what things they're doing now that are considered illegal and might get them a citation. So every educational opportunity that we get, we accept. We've done some PSAs that are in English and Spanish that we want to go ahead and start sharing on social media here pretty soon. We've done some presentations at different community centers. I did an interview for KNPR this last week, and we're going to take every opportunity that we can to educate the community. One of the things that's really important and key is the first month that we're going to launch, the whole month of January, our officers are going to be out there issuing warnings for violations that they observe. Part of that is to generate that community calling or sending emails asking why they were cited. A lot of these residents have been parking this way for 30, 40 years, and nobody's told them otherwise. So the reality of it is we do want to educate them. We want them to have the opportunity to ask questions. We want them to have the opportunity to have voluntary compliance from our residents. So again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been a part of this. I'm losing my hair from all the things that I have to remember. And right now, honestly, I just want to say thank you to everybody in this organization that's been supportive, that's helped out, that's contributed, that's made this happen. And this is our presentation. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, he was bald when I recruited him.
It looks like Phil Collins. I was excited when he came up. Hey, does this include trailers? Not just vehicles, but is it campers and trailers?
Oversized vehicles, yes. That's one of the things that we added to the ordinance is the definition or what constitutes an oversized vehicle. So recreational or commercial, anything over 24 feet in length or 8,000 pounds in weight.
So if I have a trailer and I park it every night in front of my house because I work for a plumbing company and I take the parts out in the morning, that won't count, or it does count?
If it exceeds 24 feet in length or 8,000 pounds in weight, it does count. It would be a violation.
What is the average truck size, a length of a truck?
A regular truck would be about 22 feet.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is an extended cab truck that you would use for commercial purposes.
Okay. Councilwoman?
Thank you for this. This is so, I'm excited as well, but I don't need to have a tail or anything to wag. So and we had talked about this earlier, especially in some of our mature areas that do not have HOAs. How are we going to tackle this? And then now your front yard becomes your parking garage and all those type of things.
So one of the things that is going to be able to help us is this communication and working together with code enforcement. It'll happen vice versa. If code cites them on private property, they'll move vehicles to public right-of-way, and in reverse as well. So working together with code enforcement, and again, the educational component is really, really important. We really want to seek voluntary compliance, but in situations where there will be problem areas, we will work together to address it.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Councilman Black.
You mentioned that this applies to private land, undeveloped or bare or vacant land. Does it also apply to private land that is like a commercial center or shopping center where folks park a car from Arizona or California posted with for sale signs on all windows?
Yes,
Okay.
That's what we were able to add to this amendment was to include private property, which could be a vacant, undeveloped lot or a commercial center parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
When you pick up a particular car, do you leave the information there where the car is going to go? Is it going to be centrally located in North Las Vegas area so the resident doesn't have to go all the way to Henderson to get their vehicle?
That is correct. So before we tow any vehicle, there's always notices placed on the vehicle with all the information that they need for to reach our office. We're currently in the process of evaluating 2 tow companies that submitted proposals for our RFP, and they're both within, one is in North Las Vegas, the other one is within 1.5 miles of North Las Vegas, so they will be centrally located.
That's one more question, is that all right? Homeowners associations, apartments, all those people have sometimes cars that are just left abandoned. Are you in the tow business also? Will they call you up and want you to remove that vehicle, or are you competing with the tow companies? I should say this.
No, we don't have jurisdiction on private property to enforce non-moving violations. The only thing we can enforce on private property are handicap violations and fire lane violations. The HOAs have their own enforcement tools, but that is something that in the future, if we were to look into it, there's a possibility that we could, if we wanted to pursue that, be able to do enforcement that way.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Roan.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I guess before I go to my exuberant, tirade here. One question, just to make sure we preserve something. I remember that Mr. Calvo, that we had spoken. There's one community out in the north there in my ward where they were having problems because, of course, a neighboring community that has very limited parking, they were experiencing problems where members from the neighboring gated community were actually having their guests park in their neighborhood, taking up all the spaces up and down their blocks, of course, and then they were shuttling their guests back and forth. And of course, that's denying parking, of course, for the people who live in that community. Will anything in the new ordinances be able to address that situation?
Yes, there is currently mechanisms in this ordinance to allow that. That would be more of a residential permit program where the residents that live there would have permits and the area would be restricted to anybody else by time zones, which means like if they're, I remember you mentioned that they would go to a party and be there for an extended period of time. Well, what you do in situations like that is establish a restricted time zone, and anybody that is there that exceeds that time zone would be cited. The residents, however, would have a permit to be able to park there unrestricted.
That's great. And again, this is not to hammer down, on any population. But again, this is definitely a quality of life. You work hard, you come home, you want to relax, be able to park your vehicle, at your house. But when you come home on a Friday or Saturday and you can't even park in your own block, that it makes it be like, hey, what am I doing here? A couple quick questions. Will your department be able to make citations that are more like the code enforcement? Like, for instance, if you do have people who are parked on cars on blocks on the front yard, we've seen that. Man, that's one of the things that just drives down property values, and we've seen it in some parts of the valley, right, and some parts of our city. Will you be able to also make? Because I would think that there was a more like a code enforcement. Are you gonna be able to actually do the citations on the spot, or will you have to call in someone from code enforcement to make that citation?
Parking services does not have jurisdiction on private property on the home per se. If it's on the street, in front of the home on blocks, we do have the ability to cite when we see the violation. If it constitutes a safety hazard, the ability to tow it as well.
Okay, but in that case, I guess I know we do have ordinances that do govern not being able to park your car on your front lawn, and of course, again, that is just such a for anyone who out here who's ever lived in a neighborhood where you've had to put up with your neighbors parking on the front yard, right? It's really, and we're not talking like for a few minutes, like a shade tree mechanic thing. We're talking about storing their car in the front yard. I mean, that is one thing. So we still have the mechanism from code enforcement to address that, obviously.
Correct.
Okay.
And Councilman, I would just add too that this is certainly a collaboration. So code enforcement, even our city attorney's office has been tremendous in all of this and will continue to be so, and PD. So there's going to be a very close relationship with code enforcement, parking services, and PD.
Appeals for this will go to our new hearing master. Is that correct? If someone has an appeal process, this would go to the hearing master, correct? The new level that will have in place, or they'll have to go to a judge.
So the hearing commissioner that's going to be in our that we were requesting in the legislative changes is different from the hearing master, because that's going to be something available under our code, and we're actually looking at someone that can fulfill the services also with respect to some of the other code provisions that we have that also provide for our hearing master.
Okay, that's good. It's always, always we have to we of course it's very simple. It's nice to hear, of course, that we're following, people's right to a hearing, right? That we'll be following the law there. For me, just the comment again, everything I saw before, and I just wanted to say that, of course, that this is a force multiplier for instance, our police force. This is a force multiplier for them. This is again. I mean, I have made calls because there's some neighborhoods where, I mean, wow, it's like one thing after the, and the police have had to take time from their patrol to come and address this, and this really frees them up, to do that. Just two more things: garbage containers that get pushed into the street. You got this?
Code enforcement.
Okay, code enforcement.
Does it have wheels and a steering wheel?
It does have wheels, but no steering wheel.
Does it have a plate or a VIN number?
I'm sure Oscar the Grouch should probably be able to drive it, but And one last one. It's I know it's going to come to me probably right after you sit down. Oh yeah, our friends who in certain parts of the city, it's like the vogue to go ahead and set up shop with all the car washes. At this point, will any of these ordinances be able to be applied to car washes that are on the right of way and or on private property?
So this situation, I've encountered this situation before in the city of Las Vegas. there's a business licensing component to that, but there's also a parking enforcement situation that we could also assist with. For example, if there's a problemed area and there is no restrictions on the street, we can do a study with traffic engineering and establish it as a no parking zone. So the vehicles that are parked there in a no parking zone would be cited, therefore moved from that location. So that's how we can assist with that. But it's business licensing, making sure they're complying with the conditions of their license. If I'm not mistaken, they can't be in the same place for more than 30 minutes. They have to have a business license, but if they're parking on public right-of-way, we can create situations where we can restrict the parking in that area or the type of business that they're doing.
Again, it's only because these individuals, they're making money in our city. They're not paying anything out to the city, and of course, they're oftentimes using chemicals that get washed into the drain, and we don't know what the heck these chemicals are. And of course, anything I've read the little whale there. Anything goes into the gutter winds up in our drinking water. And so again, I'll be looking for ways we can mitigate this. And again, it's not to hammer them down. It's a simple quality of life, public safety kind of issue. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Councilman Churchill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Calvo Serafin for being up at the recent block captains meeting in Sun City. Both he and Tom Martins were up there, and they both addressed their particular, issues and what their department covers. But you did an amazing explanation of what this new ordinance and your new department will be doing. So, we all very much appreciated that, because I wouldn't say a day doesn't go by, but a week doesn't go by in my ward that I don't get some type of question or copy of a license plate or a picture of a vehicle parked out on the street. I do have two quick questions, though. I think you mentioned, I understand the difference between a vehicle being sold on the right-of-way and a vehicle being sold on private property. And I think that's some of the issues that we had in the past when either code enforcement was called and it was found to be in the right-of-way, and then police would be called and no, it's on private property. I thought I remember something where if, and this may kind of negate what I'm going to say, that if the person selling the vehicle had the permission of the vacant lot owner to park their vehicle on his or her lot, that you wouldn't be able to cite that vehicle, but only if it was in the right-of-way area. So would this new parking enforcement program kind of negate that property owner from approving that?
So if this would apply on private property, correct? If the property owner, the legitimate property owner, gives written consent for that person to display a vehicle for sale, yes, we could not cite. But if that area is not zoned for selling cars, then that would be another avenue to address.
Okay, well, that was a concern. I guess most of the vacant lots around here are in zone to sell, cars in that respect. But I just needed to clarify that in my mind, because I know that question is going to come up.
Mayor.
Yeah, sorry.
Council member, if I may, I'd like to add to that.
Sure.
Right now, for used car sales or even new car sales, there are only certain districts in the city that can happen, and it's always by a special use permit, no matter where it's at. So if you have if a property owner gives somebody permission to park their car on their property, or multiple cars on that property, and put cars for sale, why traffic may not have the ability to go out there, code enforcement still would have the ability to go out there, because it would be in violation of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I guess Tom knows that, but at least that clarifies it in my mind. The other question was, and I think it may have been what Councilman Barone had asked, but it wouldn't have anything to do with someone having a party and then having to park in another area, another community. Neither one of them are in Ward 4, but I noticed on Centennial, there's a community, I want to say, by the name of Black Hawk. It's a private gated, and then up at, that's the one? Okay. Then up in Ward 3 by Waterfalls and Prescott, right alongside the Tule Springs. We've noticed vehicles being parked. I've noticed them being parked in both areas on the other side of the road, And the way I was explained to was that these are residents who are not allowed to bring their vehicle in there because of HOA regulations. So they have no choice but to park them outside off the street, off to the side of the road. So if that be the case, what do we do?
So if the streets are unrestricted and the vehicles aren't in violation of, for example, a 72-hour ordinance that they're left there for over 72 hours, and they're just parking their daily driver out there because they can't park their second vehicle inside the HOA, what you could do is establish a restricted area, or from certain time to certain time that area is no overnight parking. But if it's unrestricted and it's public right of way and they're not obstructing a travel lane, then they're really not in violation. When the violation starts to occur is if they're left there over 72 hours.
Okay. Well, that would be something that we probably could do collectively,
right,
to get you into some of these HOAs, because there's a lot of misconceptions about that. And even if there weren't any misconceptions, probably a good idea just to let everybody know, these HOA boards, exactly what the rules are, so they don't wind up fining people or calling the police on those cars being out there.
Correct.
Thank you.
One more quick. Is there I don't know if this is a stupid question or not, how many cars does a house need? Is there a number anywhere? Does a house need 5, 6, 7 cars for one residence? Or?
That I'm aware of, no. There is no amount of vehicles that you're allowed to have per household. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, each HOA, if we're talking HOA, that's a different story. But public right-of-way, there isn't any that I am aware of.
HOAs do have.
Maybe 2 small questions for me is, just say it's a 3-day weekend, somebody goes out of Disneyland or something. If they get the warning, how many days do they have to remove the vehicle? Would they still be on vacation and it's too late, they didn't get it in time?
So the 72-hour ordinance, the time starts when the officer makes initial contact with the vehicle. So we mark the vehicle, put them on notice. Okay. That's when the time starts. But the reality of it is, if you went away for the weekend, or let's say a week, the neighbors don't start calling until they start seeing debris, cobwebs, your tires are looking a little low or flat. By then, it's more than a week or two. So in actuality, if you leave your vehicle there, let's say for 3 or 4 days, it's not going to generate a complaint. And our officers are certainly not going to take the time to write all thousands of vehicles that could be there for 3 days.
This is an odd question, but we have a lot of big trucks that are coming to southern Nevada now. Gina's brought in a lot of businesses that sometimes the truckers have to stop in the night and then get there in the morning, and they're parking on off our streets just a little bit. Let's just call it short-term parking. This won't affect them at all?
Well, here's the thing: an oversized vehicle in a residential neighborhood would be a violation.
Yeah.
And it's because the roads aren't built to sustain that type of weight in a residential neighborhood. They're built different than a major thoroughfare. And you get a lot of calls from the neighbors. The neighbors don't want to hear that engine started up at 4 in the morning and idle for 10, 15 minutes. So you get a lot of calls from neighbors. Situations like that, I know we've discussed options or opportunities where they can park legally to be able to make sure you have a balance between the residents and those that are driving these trucks for a living.
We would be somewhat responsible for causing this issue to be happening, but Ms. Gavin?
Yeah, Mayor, I would just add that I think that is more in line with the future and your vision of being able to find the dedicated parking for those oversized trucks to be able to have a place to park.
I just want to throw that out. If you can help us solve that problem, that'd be great too, because those men and women provide a real opportunity for us, to increase our business culture here. Ms. Gavin, anything else you'd like to report?
I just want to say thank you to all of the staff and the team, and to Seraphin again. It's really been a big group effort, so thank you.
Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I just kind of want to reiterate that there's if you think about it, this is something that we kind of started in April, and then Seraphin's been here 4 months? Going on its 5th month. And lots of times government would have done a study, then they would have done a study on a study, then they probably would have studied something else. Then they would have come back and revised the study before they even did anything. So I think if you look at an entire division being created in a very quick amount of time, and the resources from all different departments in the city that have gone as they've still continued to do the tremendous work that they do throughout the city to work collaboratively to bring this together, have ordinances and changes in ordinances to make sure that this is something that we're delivering to the public. And I think in briefings with all of you, we've understood the urgency and the need for this. We've seen this need since I've been here for 5 years. So I just want to commend them once again and just show it's just once again kind of an example of how North Las Vegas is really kind of rewriting the rules of how government works and making sure that we're bringing products quickly and helping residents and helping the community.
Yeah, I know 5 years ago when we showed up, we went with the city and we pulled together both cities, and they recommended this, and it's time. Seraphin, you seem like the right leader, and we wish you success, and our community is going to be better off for your leadership. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments, the chair will take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, very enthusiastically again, to approve.
We have a motion. Please cast your vote.
Thank you.
Items approved. Moving on to ordinances, introduction only.
There's no public comment for these items, and no action will be taken by the council at this meeting. If you wish to speak on any of these items, please attend the meeting where the final action will be determined and submit a blue card to the clerk. Item 72, introduce ordinance number 2937, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 113.89 acres therein from an R1 single-family low-density district to a PUD, Planned Unit Development District, consisting of 728 single-family residential lots, ZN 3618, Craig Camino, for property located south of Lone Mountain Road between Camino al Norte and Clayton Street, and providing further matters properly relating thereto. Item 73, introduce ordinance number 2942, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 33.56 plus or minus acres therein from a C2 general commercial district to an M2 general industrial district, ZN 4018 Interchange Industrial Center, for property located at the northeast corner of Interstate 15 and Clark County 215, and providing further matters properly relating thereto. Item 74, introduce ordinance number 2943, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 6.95 acres therein from a C1 neighborhood commercial district to a PUD, Planned Unit Development District, consisting of 72 attached single-family residential lots, ZN 4118, Losee and Lone Mountain, for property generally located at the northwest corner of Lone Mountain Road and Losee Road, and providing further matters properly relating thereto. Item 75, introduce ordinance number 2945, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 13.92 plus or minus acres therein from a PUD, Planned Unit Development District, to an M2 general commercial district, ZN 3818, Logistics Center Speedway, for property generally located south of Interstate 15 and west of NASCAR Street, and providing further matters properly relating thereto. Item 76, introduce ordinance number 2946, amending section 010 of chapter 16 of title 17 of the municipal code by reclassifying approximately 9.89 plus or minus acres therein from an RE Ranch Estates district to an RCL single-family compact lot residential district, ZN 3918, Hammer and Lawrence, for property generally located at the southeast corner of Hammer Lane and Lawrence Street, and providing further matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you very much. Moving on to appointments.
Item 77, appoint City Council member to Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority for a term coterminous with their City Council term.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask the council if I can remove myself from this board. I think next year is going to be a pinnacle year for North Las Vegas. I would like to devote the time I've been spending with that board to more profitable things, to work on the visions and goals of North Las Vegas. So with that, Mayor Pro Tem Goins Brown has taken on the responsibility of sitting on that board, and I would like to make that motion. We have a motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved.
Item 78, Appoint City Council member to the Clark County Regional Flood Control District and the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada to fill an unexpired term ending June 30, 2019.
Thank you. And once again, that's the chair of regional boards that I sit on. Most of the work that is now taking place with the RTC and the flood control seem to be in Councilman Barone's district. And he's going to be a great steward sitting on this regional board. It will once again allow me, I'm going to go to the LBGEA and work with Director Gavin and try to get more businesses coming to North Las Vegas. Councilman Barone has accepted this opportunity. And so with that, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Councilman Barone to the Regional Flood Control and the RTC Board. That's my motion. Please cast your vote. Items approved. Moving on to City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just kind of wanted to just take a quick second to update the public on some changes that have been made around City Hall. These items will be coming before Council for ratification. One of the things that hasn't maybe been done properly in the past is making sure that positions, some of our executive positions in the city are brought before this body for ratification. But just some changes have been made. Alfredo Malesio is our new deputy city manager. Chief Ojeda, as we all know, has been sworn in, or is our new police chief. Gina Gavin is our new chief innovation officer. Dylan Goldberg is our new chief of staff. Mark Jordan is our new Director of Land Development and Community Services. I appreciate everyone's patience with making some of these leadership changes. Whenever I was kind of thrust into this role at the beginning of the year, it was important for me to really get in and understand a lot of the departments, and I didn't want to really have very many filters as I was learning on the fly right during the budget cycle. In fact, it was joked in a meeting today that those first few days I'd sleep on the couch and shower on the third floor so that I could really devote time. And I want to thank you for your patience, especially thank my family for their patience as I was brought up to speed and learning the different things that I felt were necessary to learn. I'm very excited about this team and this group of leaders that we have in the city, that as we continue to work together to do the public's work. I mean, lots of times the jobs that they have and that we have are thankless. We tend to hear complaints, and they're usually louder than the people that just quietly are thankful for what's being done and thankful for the services that are being provided. The city has seen a tremendous transformation, and I think that this team, I'm really excited for the team that we have, the diversity of thought and backgrounds, and our ability to really continue to move North Las Vegas to new heights.
Well, you're giving a report. Is there I know we've got other directors that are missing and other things. Can you give us some ideas what you see in the future with filling some of those voids that we've had?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. We're still in search for a finance director. I think we're narrowing it down. We're feeling good about that search and what we need for that position. Another big change that has been made is our IT department has kind of been put different places. It's had homes in most different departments, and so our city clerk has stepped up, and she's our acting IT director at this time as we work to really help define that department and help bring that department into a full-service department within the city. We are going to have, at the first of the year, have a new director for that department so that IT can be at the table and all the decisions, helping us make decisions. Lots of times, some of the decisions that are made when it comes to IT is whether we can afford the product, whether the IT service or whatever it is. And there's not proper discussion on what resources it would take to implement the product. So we have examples, and they've come before this council, where we've had products that we've actually purchased, and we're not talking small purchases. I mean, these are large purchases. And then we're actually purchasing an update before the product is being used. And that's just really something that was, as we were going through the budget cycle and as we started to to move into the spring, it became a reality. Like, wait, we really need to have an IT director. We really need to have decisions that are being made that is incorporating them because they have limited bandwidth. But yet this is an extremely important department. It would be an important department in any private sector company. And it's especially important in a city like North Las Vegas, where we are now in a critical stage as we're bringing on more people, that we need to be looking to see if we're bringing on people to provide or to do things that there's already an IT solution. Because if that's the case, then we can bring people on to provide other services to our residents that IT can't do. And so really you need to marry that approach and bring both of them back at the same time, which is how new technology can better serve our residents and how we can put bodies in places where only people can do it and there's not IT response. So those are some of the changes that you'll see moving forward. We're excited about them. We're excited to continue to build this team out.
Well, thank you very much. I know you meet with us, as needed or regularly in some cases, but appreciate that. Any comments or questions, City Manager?
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, of course, when we've sat down and we've had conversations regarding your vision when, of course, you were appointed to a City Manager, there are things that you stressed were extremely important to you. And I'll say that you have implemented them, as you establish your leadership. I know one thing that's been really important to my residents was that we have a city police force, our city leadership, including employees and management, that reflect the community. I'd like to point out that you've done an excellent job, merging the need to find the best person available, most qualified, with that vision of finding people who reflect our community. We wind up hearing little comments on social media and out there in the community that only a certain group is in charge here. Well, I don't know about the past. That's not it now. That's for sure. We have, I think, the highest ranking woman of Filipino descent in the state of Nevada as our city attorney. She replaced, of course, I think the first ever African American city attorney in the state of Nevada. That was predecessor. The first police chief, Latino police chief in Southern Nevada, who retired, replaced by appointed recently a woman, our very first top cop. And congratulations again, there, chief. And again, over and over again, your right-hand person here, a Latino. I'm very happy to say. I think his family is from Chihuahua. Is that correct there, Alfredo? Coahuila. Well, pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and just say Chihuahua anyhow. That's where my family's from. As far as I'm concerned, he's I don't care what anybody says.
See.
Yeah, there you go. And one of our key one of your key hires, our HR director. We welcome her also from private practice, where she was highly respected, and now we have her services here as well. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. I think it sends the right message to our residents. I think it sends the right message, I think, to our employees as well. From our brand new officers, we'll be, I think, in a week or two, we'll be welcoming, 13 new officers? And every one of them knows that they can come from a boot rookie and make it all the way to top cop in our organization without having to be part of any good old boys club. That their skill, that their leadership will be recognized and appreciated. And I think that goes with anybody else that's hired here for the city of North Vegas. You can start off, as a intern, and then go to the very top of our city. And I think that speaks a lot to a blue collar town that we have here. That I'm so proud to call my home. And I want to give you accolades for establishing this process. And these things are not easy. Changes are very difficult, but I'll tell you what, this was one change that I thank you on behalf of my residents.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you very much. And I might add the clerk, who's military retiree. You know what I mean? And we have a lot of talented people here. So, and we hire them because what they bring to the table, not what they look like. You know, I mean, they're really good at what they do too. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam City Manager. Moving on to public forum. This is time set aside for the public to speak on issues not posted on the agenda. So, Mr. Bouchard, would you please come up? I have a blue card from you. Is there anybody else who would like to follow Ms. Bouchard? This would be your time if you just kind of move up front. Seeing none, after Mr. Bouchard, then we'll close this hearing.
Okay, before you start my clock, I'm here representing my girlfriend. She's Japanese, and she's a Buddhist, and she's very upset. She wants to know why we never have a Buddhist priest here. She also wants to know why we don't have a Buddha the same size as his Christmas tree. Keep in mind, this is not a Christian nation anymore. We have Buddhist people here. We have the LDS people. We have all different religions, and I'm a firm believer in church and state, and we should separate church and state. Okay, you start the clock now. It's Christmas time, and it's that time you want it to be nice, but it's also the start of a new year, and I'm really upset with all this bad press we're getting about crime in North Las Vegas. For years I've been living, everything's under control, and now it's not under control. It's making my house values go down. And I've heard, we're going to throw money at the problem. That's what Democrats do, throw money. Republicans say, no, we just won't spend any money at all. But, more cops in the street, great, good idea. But it's not going to fix the problem. We got to keep our civic centers open. We got to keep these kids off the street. Almost all of this crime is in poorer neighborhoods. We got to get rid of poverty. We got to raise the minimum wage. That can be done at the city level. And as we know, Trump has fixed all the problems in America. Everybody should get a raise. I mean, let's just raise the minimum wage, $15 an hour, and get it over with, because that's what's causing all this crime is people who live in these poor areas of town can't find jobs. They turn to drugs, they start out using drugs, and then they're selling drugs. We can't lock everybody up. The other thing we need, nobody has more respect for the police department than I do. I'll fight anybody over that issue. I respect our police. But they don't live here. If they lived here, they'd have more roots in the community. They would know what's going on. They would learn who the bad guys are. We're going to have to do something. You say you're hired 16 new policemen. Do any of these people live in the city? That's a question. Do they live here? Are they going to live here? We need people with ties to the community. Well, I guess I'm done. You have any questions?
Merry Christmas.
Have a nice Christmas.
And thank you for everyone coming to our meeting this evening. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.